What a fabulous opening night in the NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks raised the banner, then went out and put a beatdown on Brooklyn. Is this a sign of things to come? Ben Simmons was at Sixers practice till he wasn't at Sixers practice. Simmons sent home for bad behavior. Has he played his last game for Philly? And the Dallas Cowboys just eked out a win, needed overtime in New England on Sunday. Where will they now land on Nick's tiers as a result? With that, we say good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, Kevin Wildes. Nick, you had the Cowboys as the best team, the top of the tier, the apex. Our graphics department needs to know, might there be changes? They got work ahead of them, perhaps.
Well, Jenna, all wins are not created equal. And when you need overtime to beat a truly miserable, awful football team, sometimes you get dinged in the rankings. Sometimes you get dinged in the tiers.
Take that, Kevin Wildes.
Here come the Chiefs.
Washington.
Take
Here come
that,
the Chiefs.
Kevin
Number 14.
All right.
Here come the Chiefs.
We'll get to the tiers from Nick in just a second, but first the tiers from the Lakers after what we saw last night. TEAR, Lakers, Warriors, first game of the season, advantage, Golden State. Steph Curry triple-doubled as the Warriors shocked LA, came back from down 10 in the second half to get that win. That despite a combined 67 points from LeBron and AD. So you want to know, how did Russell Westbrook do in his debut for the Lakers? Not great. Russ struggling to fit in last night, just 8 points on 4 of 13. LeBron, though, not worried about his new running mate. Take a listen to this.
I just think it was just the first game jitters, to be honest. Don't put too much into it. Just probably was a lot just going through his mind, just being a kid from LA and, watching the Lakers growing up, and then, however many years down the road, now you're putting on a Laker uniform and you're stepping into Staples Center, and you probably had, I can only imagine how many friends and family have contacted him over the last 48 hours wondering if they can come and see his first game as a Laker. Those things, those demands and those asks and those things will quiet down as the season go on and on. So not worried about Russ at all. He just need to be himself and not worry about the outcome.
All right, Chris Broussard, LeBron not worried about Russ. Is he right, though, not to be concerned at all?
Well, his approach is certainly right. If Russell Westbrook watches that clip or that press conference with LeBron, he's going to be encouraged. That's what you want to see from your best player, the leader of the team who's welcoming you aboard. And LeBron, on top of that, knows as well as anyone, having played in Miami with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and having played in Cleveland with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, that big threes take a while typically to come together. In both of those situations, Miami and Cleveland, they struggled for several weeks before they got it going. So LeBron understands this. He's been through this before. All that said, this is not going to be a big three where all three guys put up star numbers. All right, they're not all three going to average 20 points or more per game. I think Russell Westbrook's numbers are going to be far lower than we've come to expect from him. I'm talking 16, 17, about 17 points a game. All right, because they need to play through AD and LeBron. Now, LeBron just said it. Frank Vogel said it too. They want Russ to be Russ, right? Just go out there and play your game, be aggressive, all that. The problem is Russell Westbrook's game is him having the ball and everybody else playing off of him, and that's not best for the Lakers. What's best for the Lakers is to run through LeBron James and Anthony Davis and everyone else, including Russell Westbrook, to play off of them. All right, that's how they have to play. So I think they're going to have to start staggering LeBron and Russ's minutes to some degree. Give Russ that second unit, all right, where that's when he can be Russ and play like he's always played. And then even when he's out there with LeBron, he can push it in transition and have the ball in his hands and try to get some early offense. But when they're in the half-court sets, LeBron, as you saw last night, is going to be the primary ball handler and decision maker, and that's what's best for them. That's going to be tough for Russ because he's had the ball in his hands for 12 years, and this is how he's always played the game, and he can't shoot. It's tough to play off the ball when you can't really shoot jump shots. And so that's an issue, Nick. But the bottom line is Russ is going to have to accept being the third fiddle. Doesn't mean he won't be a star. His legacy's set. I firmly expect, as I imagine you do, within the next 2 days, he's going to be named on the All-75 team. 75 greatest players of all time. So his legacy's set, right? But he's going to be the third fiddle here, and he can't, when it's his time to shine, he can't force it just to put up numbers or feel like he's contributing.
Yep. So I think I'm going to surprise the audience here because I've always had I'm not concerned, very steady hand when it comes to LeBron's Lakers teams post the Anthony Davis trade. But what I saw last night was incredibly concerning, and it has very little to do with Russell Westbrook. It has to do with how the Lakers are trying to play. And I understand Ellington and Ariza and THT and Nunn were out. I get that. However, there is a rule of thumb with LeBron James teams. If he is the best three-point shooter on the court, you have not done a good job building the team around him. And in their starting lineup last night, he was the best three-point shooter. LeBron scored more points than anyone in the NBA yesterday, scored 34. That should have been a 45-point game. Why? Because he hit 12 jump shots. He hit 5 threes. When LeBron's jumper is falling, those are 40-point games. So why wasn't it? Show me a shot chart. Show me what LeBron James did. He made one basket at the rim, and it was a transition dunk. So he never got to the rim successfully in the half court. Why? Well, you have DeAndre Jordan out there. You have Dwight Howard out there. You have Russ out there. And that, to me, was the bigger concern. I thought last night's game wilds for the Lakers was bad in all aspects. They allowed the Warriors to score 121 when Steph didn't play well. They lost despite LeBron and AD combining for over 65 points. And I understand what they're trying to do, be big, strong, long, defensive. But letting the Warriors score 121 means that with Steph not getting on fire, far from it, 5 for 21, means the defense has a long way to go. So this is the final point on it. I agree with Broussard about Russ running the second unit. But where was he? Remember when he went to Houston, what did they do? They traded Clint Capella away. Why? Spread the court for Russ.
Right.
The Lakers, LeBron is best without a center on the court. Russ is best without a center on the court. And the Lakers are out here adding centers, bringing in DeAndre Jordan for no reason whatsoever. So I believe in the Lakers because come playoff time, I believe in LeBron. However, the roster they have right now is going to struggle mightily these first couple months of the season, I believe.
My goodness gracious, still my beating heart. We've gone through some trials and tribulations, my friend, but you have never said that you were worried about the Lakers. So this one is a total curveball, and we're going to switch roles here. Because I am not worried about the Lakers. I don't think LeBron is worried about the Lakers. I don't think Frank Vogel is worried about it. They know the team that they have. They know they've got some centers. They know how Russell Westbrook plays. I think LeBron figures it out, and here's why. LeBron has got the same mindset as my local hardware store manager. You guys might be worried about the right now. I need a screw. I got grubs in my yard. Russell Westbrook can't shoot threes. You know what they're worried about? Christmas time. They're worried about Christmas. I give LeBron all of these games, and he says, you know what? By Christmas, we should have this figured out. Maybe it means adding guys. Maybe it means changing rotations. Maybe it means changing a style of play. We saw DeAndre Jordan going from he needs to start to DNPs in Brooklyn. I could see it going this way again. And here's the other thing, Nick. At the end of the game, it wasn't necessarily out of hand, but it wasn't necessarily close. It was kind of in that middle range. I looked down and I had to adjust my glasses. I said, hold on, old buddy KW, I got to look at the screen. Is that Avery Bradley back on the court? I thought he was on the Warriors. He was 2 days ago when they played in the preseason. The Lakers did a tribute video for him. All of a sudden, he's logging kind of crunch time minutes. He had 8 points, 8 minutes, 6 points. So that to me is a sign that LeBron and Frank Vogel are just figuring things out, and there's no need to worry until Christmas.
Yeah.
Nick, I am shocked that you are worried because you knew this was the roster going in minus Avery Bradley.
I knew it was the roster going in. What I thought was going to be the case, Broussard, was I knew they wouldn't have shooting. I thought they would try to offset that with great defense. And letting the Warriors, with Clay in street clothes, and Steph having what will, at the end of the season, be one of his 5 worst shooting games of the whole year, score 121 it's not a flashing red light, but it's like the little beep in your smoke detector. It's like, okay, that could be concerning at some point. Should probably get that checked out. So listen, I believe in the Lakers because I believe in LeBron and Anthony Davis, assuming he learns how to shoot free throws again. They're going to have 2 of the best players in the whole league at all times. But they got some work to do between now and Christmas and between now and the end of the season. That's for damn sure.
All right, Nick, look, we all know you're with Clutch, so you're obligated to pick the Lakers, but I think Wiles and I both would admit you don't sound like you believe in the Lakers, my man. I mean, my goodness.
No.
You don't sound like it at all. You sound like believe that they're going to get in the playoffs, but maybe to play in, but you don't sound like you believe in the Lakers.
I'm an honesty broker, Broussard. I don't fall into narratives. I just analyze what I saw. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, look, you talked about the 121 points. Let's face it, it could have been worse because it wasn't the Lakers playing great defense in the first 3 quarters that had them with the lead. The Warriors were missing plenty of open shots, right?
Yeah.
Plenty. And I think the Lakers went big. Their size will be a problem for teams. And they went big thinking that would be a problem for the Warriors. What it turned out to be is we can't guard these guys. They're moving all over the place. They're moving the ball. We can't stay with them. And then on the other side, for the most part, Nick, if you're going to go big, play big. And AD posted sometimes, but for the most part, they didn't play big. They were big in height, but they didn't punish the smaller Warriors down low. You mentioned LeBron, only 1 basket at the rim, and that was in transition. So if you're going to go big, then punish the opponent on the other side and get them in foul trouble, wear them down with your size closer to the basket.
Yep. Championship picks in 90 minutes, Jenna. I might surprise some people.
It ain't the Lakers.
I was going to say,
we're back.
So much for an undefeated season, which I had the Lakers going. So maybe next year. By the way, Wilds, Nets Lakers Christmas Day, something to look forward to. Hey, we're back talking Giannis and the Bucks. They did a lot of things well last night. They put a ring on it. Then they put a beatdown on the Brooklyn Nets. Can the defending champs make a repeat run? Still ahead. First things first. Time now for Drawing a Blank. We will let Wilds compose himself for a second. He got all fired up there. Let's talk some Nets and Bucks last night, the other game. KD led the way for Brooklyn with 32. They couldn't figure out a way, though, to stop Giannis and the defending champs. The Brooklyn Nets just looked a little lost out there, lost by 23 points. So, Chris Broussard, the Nets' opening loss to the Bucks was blank.
Oh, let me hear this.
Wiles, let me throw this at you quickly, Wiles, because this will make you feel better. Maybe you get a pendant for winning that mid-season tournament Adam Silver wants to institute. So maybe that. You get a pendant for that, and you keep your ring for the championship. So maybe that's the answer. But anyway, Drawing a Blank.
Love it.
All right. Knicks talking trash after what we saw from the Lakers?
Yeah.
All right, the Nets opening night loss to the Bucks, Jenna, was proof positive. Yeah, I said it. Proof positive. Proof positive that the Nets are doing the right thing by keeping Kyrie Irving out of road games. Because, look, last night, had Kyrie played, maybe they would have won that game, okay? But then next week, when you got your 6-game homestand, you're back to square one. My point is this. Last night was proof positive that chemistry and continuity and familiarity and defined roles are important. And that is why the Bucks waylaid the Brooklyn Nets, because the Bucks had plenty of it and the Nets had none. It was just James Harden and Kevin Durant's 7th game without Kyrie Irving. 7. And the last 3, James Harden was hampered by a hamstring injury. Don't tell me about Oklahoma City. Harden was a completely different player. That was eons ago. So what you saw last night is that the Nets need to develop their chemistry. Virtually everybody that came off the bench last night, 5 of the 6 guys was new. And so it takes time to get this together. And that's what we saw last night. James Harden, the game he played, 20 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. That would have been fine. It would have been perfect, actually, with Kyrie on the court with KD. But without Kyrie, Harden's got to be a lot more aggressive, be more like the old James Harden, not completely, still be the point guard, but be more aggressive. Don't defer as much to KD. Play your game, and that takes time to get acclimated. Proof positive.
Listen,
I actually liked it, Nick.
That's all. That's a good galaxy brain take to try to defend what I assume is going to be Broussard's title favorites. We're going to find that out in about 90 minutes. But listen, this was ominous, and it was ominous for a lot of reasons. Sorry, Milwaukee, you won the title. You have best player in the sport. We're not going to talk about you. We're going to talk about the team that got annihilated by you. First of all, I was surprised, Broussard, we didn't get more out of those spry bench players you've been talking up so much. Paul Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, they played for 26 minutes, but I think they scored 1 point. But that's what, no, they're on the court. The Wilds, there's no kid gloves of, we have to be nicer to these guys. You played 20 plus minutes. You're supposed to be better. We're all glad you're healthy. But no. Hold on. Now on Harden.
LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't deserve respect. Come on.
He deserves, yes, as a human being. As a basketball player, wasn't good in San Antonio. Told you that last year. Wasn't going to be good when he got to Brooklyn. And now he's not good now. Harden had a 4-minute stretch when he hit 3 threes in the second quarter. Aside from that, he was 3 of 13, and most importantly, struggled getting to the line. You see how many of those 3-pointers? Harden was making them, by the way, where he was flailing about, just gobsmacked that he couldn't get the call. Meanwhile, KD, does this remind you of anything? KD plays great, and the Nets lose to Milwaukee. That's 3 losses in a row to Milwaukee, by the way, the team they're going to have to go through. And the other reason it's ominous, there is a very strong case to be made, Wilds. The Nets lost the championship last year, not because of injury, but because of bad coaching. Because Steve Nash did not prioritize the 1 seed in the regular season, which is what put them on a collision course with Milwaukee in round 2. Nash's adjustments last year were KD play the whole game. You can't do that in the regular season. So you have a coach who I think's in over his head, a roster that doesn't have defense again, size again, and you're just relying on KD to be utterly brilliant while Harden has to adjust his game. That was an ominous sign for Brooklyn last night, Wilds. Wow. It was more than 1 loss.
Okay, I'm going to throw it back to you here because we're about to play our favorite in-segment game show. Oh, yeah. I like this. Okay, here's the first question in the game show. My answer is throwing the towel. Did you find it odd that Steve Nash pulled everybody and Budenholzer put Giannis back in the game with about 3 minutes left, down, I think, 15. Game's not out of hand necessarily, but it's not close. Steve Nash throws in the towel. Budenholzer's coaching up a storm. He's even more animated later on. Nick, did you find this curious? First question in our in-show game show called
Well, no, because that is exactly what cost the Nets the 1 seed last year, if you remember. When they were, I think it was in Minnesota, they had the big comeback in a game. They were resting KD because KD couldn't play back-to-backs, and they have the huge comeback. But they had already taken out Kyrie, and Nash won't put him back in. Yeah. Or the Philly game. That's the one I'm talking about. It was right after the Minnesota game. That's correct. It was the Philly game. That cost them the 1 seed. And so, Broussard, I know the Nets are in your heart, the defending NBA champions, even though they finished in 7th place last year. Do we have any evidence Steve Nash knows what he's doing? Do we have any evidence? Now, I know we have to be nice to Steve Nash, like LaMarcus Aldridge, nice guy, everyone loves him, great in the media, all this stuff. Okay, he's an NBA coach. I think we can criticize him. Do we have any idea he knows what he's doing?
Nick, I want you to answer me honestly. A year ago today, or maybe even 9 months ago today, what were you saying about Mike Budenholzer?
What?
He couldn't coach?
That he needed to prove it in the
He's in over his
postseason.
head?
That he was a great regular season coach that needed to prove it in the postseason. And then he proved it in the postseason.
You were down on him.
What was I saying about me before my wife gave birth? I wasn't a father. And then I was. Yeah, because he proved it in the postseason.
You know when you're going to believe in Steve Nash? You're going to believe in Steve Nash when the Brooklyn Nets are holding the Larry O'Brien trophy. That's when you're going to believe in him, and it's going to be too late.
Waiting to hand it to the team that
I'm
won
not
it?
saying Steve
Like,
Nash.
hey, hold on.
He's not Phil
we got
Jackson.
A ceremony going on?
He's not Phil Jackson, but he'll do a fine job. He did a fine job last year managing the egos.
So in other words, we have no evidence.
The problem is they've got to get used to playing with one another. They got to get used to playing with one another. That's all there is to it.
Okay.
Chemistry's important, my man.
All right, well, last night they did not have a ton of chemistry. Nets dropped their season opener to the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. Much more on this still to come, but we got to take a turn. Talk some football. How about the Dallas Cowboys? Fox Bet Sportsbook has Dallas with the 8th best odds to win the Super Bowl. Should Dallas retain the top spot in Nick's NFL tiers? It's next. First things first. It's just after 8 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Time for Nick to unveil the new NFL tiers. Statements were made this week around the league, gentlemen. Ravens steamrolled the Chargers. Chiefs bounced back. Some teams are teetering. Looking at you, Cleveland. All right, Nick, take us through your NFL tiers entering Week 7.
All right, we got to go super fast here. No foreplay, no preamble. Unveil the bottom 16 teams in the league. Just show it to us now. The Giants, you're down with the Lions until you fire Gettleman. By the way, Panthers, Broncos plummeting from those 3-0 starts. Seahawks teetering in the danger zone, my friends. All right, the next teams you're going to see, 16 teams, 8 from each conference, at least one of them not making the playoffs. Show me the first grouping of teams, if you would, please. These tiers have names. Untrustworthy. Bengals, Saints, Niners, Vikings. Why are they untrustworthy? Zach Taylor, Jameis Winston, don't know who your quarterback is, and Kirk Cousins. Speaks for itself. Dangerous but damaged. Titans, dangerous because of Derrick Henry. Damaged because you got to play defense. Raiders, dangerous because they keep winning games. Damaged because, have you heard about the John Gruden story? Do you have an hour and a half? I could explain it to you. Browns, literally damaged. Whole offense is injured, but still dangerous because we know what they can be. All right, now let's go to the cream of the crop. Let's go to some better teams. Oh, AFC logjam. Chargers plummeting from the best team in the AFC after getting annihilated. The Bills, when your quarterback literally falls on its face, you have the best win your franchise has had, arguably, since Jim Kelly was the quarterback, and you follow it up by blowing a game when you're a touchdown favorite, and now you have to sit on that with the bye, just stewing. That hurts you. Chiefs, meanwhile, 21-0 in the last 2 quarters of football they played. All AFC logjam right there. You guys are like, oh, Nick, you're going to create your own tier for the Chiefs. No, sir, I'm not. Take integrity demands that I put them where they deserve to be. All right, next group, please. I'm out of breath. All right, show with the group. Thank you. Taking care of business. Listen, Bucks, Packers, Rams. They all have one kind of ugly loss. But other than that, they just take care of business each week. They're not really blowing people out. I know the Rams did, but the Rams blew out the Giants, so that's like beating a regular team by 7, beating the Giants by 30. But each week, just win. They all 5-1, all taking care of business, all have one game they'd like to have back, but just humming along as real Super Bowl contenders should. Who are the number 1 contenders, however? That's a hell of a question. Cardinals, Cowboys. All right, now we got to spend some time here just for a moment. You see a little asterisk. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but there's an asterisk next to number 1 contenders. Because it is hard for me to believe that either of these teams with their current head coaches can win the Super Bowl. You might say, Nick, did you watch the Cardinals this weekend? Oh, I did. Did you notice who wasn't there? Cliff Kingsbury. Most impressive victory of the year, and Cliff Kingsbury's not there. Kevin Wilde's going to tell me I'm being mean. He was in COVID protocols, Nick. You can't say he wasn't there. Nah, he wasn't there, and they were good. Cowboys, on the other hand, it's Mike McCarthy. So who's left? Who's the favorites? Like a rocket to the top. You have the Baltimore Ravens. After what they did this weekend, they are the current favorites. Now, again, much like last week, we're no longer calling, at least for the time being, a team favorites. Not outright favorites, but the current favorites. Because for the Ravens, we still are a little ominous that they were down 19 to the Colts, that they needed a 66-yarder to beat the Lions. However, with Lamar playing the way he is, even with the news that Ronnie Stanley is out for the year, they haven't had him all year up to this point anyway, they are the current favorites. So there it is. The committee met late into the night. One of the committee members slept over because he wanted to watch the damn Laker game. He's snoring on my couch over here trying to do television. He needs to go home, Alan. But other than that, it's a great addition to the tiers. Broussard, your thoughts?
All right, a few things. First of all, you are being mean. And not just to Cliff Kingsbury, but also to Jameis Winston. You got it. You're gonna rue the day, Nick. Every week you come on here and you insult the dark horse MVP candidate for the New Orleans Saints. You're gonna regret it. So I'm just warning you. It should stop next week.
Okay.
It should stop next week with the insults.
Okay.
All right. Secondly, I do want to give you credit for fighting off what had to be a mighty powerful temptation to put the Kansas City Chiefs at #1. So I will give you that, Nick. That you kept the Chiefs down. They weren't the top team. But I do have an issue with your top of your board. And Baltimore, the great win. We get it. But Arizona deserves to be at the top of your tiers, Nick. They just do. And I get it. Everyone seems to be, they got this place in their body where they can't fully believe in Arizona. Maybe because they're kind of like the new kids on the block. I get it. But, Nick, they've passed every single test. All right, they're the only undefeated team in the league. They've got a better resume this season than Baltimore. 3 incredible wins, all on the road, all blowouts at Tennessee, at the LA Rams, and at Cleveland. Those are tremendous wins. And the last one, by the way, came, as you mentioned, without their head coach. Don't rip him, though, because he was there for the Rams victory. He was there for the Titans route. So give him credit. But and on top of that, Nick, they got a top 5 defense in points scored. They got a top 5 defense in fewest points allowed. And as great as Lamar is playing, it doesn't take much of an argument to say that Kyler Murray's actually playing better. We can look at the numbers. In virtually every statistical category, he has Lamar beat. And, Nick, I know you say last year doesn't count, but clearly it does because the Chiefs would be down there with some of the lower teams if it didn't. All right, they are 12-3 in the last 15 games that Kyler Murray has been healthy. 12-3 over the last 2 years when he is healthy. This is a team to be reckoned with. And the Baltimore, great win, I get it, over the Chargers. But, Nick, they struggled, as you said, to beat the winless Lions, the struggling Indianapolis Colts, and the middling Kansas City Chiefs. So Arizona should be #1.
Last part. Stop that. All right, so here's the thing about Kyler and then about the Cardinals as a whole. Everyone points to the Cardinals were awesome last year until Kyler got hurt, and then they weren't. I actually don't think that's an argument in their favor. Here's why. Because it's not like Kyler was knocked out for the season. He got dinged badly and played through it. Because of his style and his size, if I'm ranking quarterbacks in list of concern that they're going to suffer some type of nagging injury, he is either at the top or very close to it. But the other thing is this. I understand that the committee's tiers are literally the only tiers or power rankings or hierarchy you're going to find anywhere in sports media that doesn't have the Cardinals at #1. But here's the problem. Any of those people that put the Cardinals at #1, ask them this. Who you got coming out of the NFC to go to the Super Bowl? See if they say the Cardinals. And after they say the Rams, then be like, okay, if the Rams don't go, who do you have? Then they'll say the Bucks. And then they'll probably say the Cowboys. And then they'll say the Packers. Like, everyone is anointing the Cardinals because of the record. Again, not a standings. Got to remind the audience, not a standings. It's a tier system. When nobody's picking them to go to the Super Bowl. I think most people think they're the 4th or 5th best team in their own conference. The committee is giving them a little more credit than that because they have earned it. But I think people are putting the Cardinals Wilds at 1 by the groupthink pressure of they're the only undefeated team, which, by the way,
yes,
we saw that story last year with the Steelers, who were 11-0. The committee never respected them, and we're proven right. Now, the Cardinals are better than the Steelers. I'm not saying they're the last year's Steelers, but undefeated is not necessarily all it's cracked up to be sometimes, Wilds.
Okay, I have two issues about our favorite teams. One is, I believe the Cowboys should be back on top. They went into the best stadium in the NFL and beat one of the greatest franchises in all of sports. They should not go down a notch, because, especially with the way Dak played. They should still be number one. If anything, they should be 1A. They should move up a notch. But my real contention is this. AFC logjam.
Yeah.
Those teams literally played the Chiefs. They both beat the Chiefs. They do, just for that reason alone, they do not belong on the same tier as the teams that they literally beat. And I know you're like, oh, you've broken this down now and saying like, oh, they into halves of football. The Chiefs played a good half of football. Well, congratulations. They played they shut out Washington for half of football. They've moved on. They've moved into fifth place, fifth worst defense, sandwiched between the Giants and the Lions. So I guess that makes them AFC logjam. I would okay with you having another tier. Move the Chiefs down.
So the Chargers and Bills are both 4-2, and the Chiefs are 3-3. But I would just ask parents out there a question. Say you have 3 children, and 2 of them have a slightly higher GPA than the third. But on the most recent exam, the kid with the worst grades got an A, and the other 2 kids failed it. Just total embarrassment failure. One of them literally on their way to the exam fell on his face. And you're like, have you been drinking? He's like, I'm 13, Dad. It's like, I don't know, look like you've been drinking.
Slipped on
like, are you going to be like, well, those 2 kids that failed their most recent test are still ahead of the other kid? Or are you going to say one is trending up, the other are trending down? Hey, noodle over that with Russie and Billy for a little bit this afternoon, Wilds, and see what you come up with.
Jenna.
But that's why the AFC logjam is where it is, Jenna.
That's pretty good.
Of course, it got me thinking, because Harper, what she does usually... Oh, yeah, I'll tell you later. I want to get back to the NBA, because it's an extremely busy morning. 2 big games last night. We'll tell you in the break. Nick's NBA medals are back. After each night, Nick's going to hand out bronze, silver, gold medals to his top 3 performers. Were you with us last year? We did this all year. It was fantastic. Steph Curry had 21, 10, and 10 last night in the Warriors' opening night win. Was hard on himself after, though. Said he played like trash. So, Nick, here we go. Opening night last night. Which 3 guys did it best?
Well, do we start with the bronze or the gold on this? I don't remember. Someone tell me.
The bronze.
We're going to give out a bronze to Kevin Durant. Hey, a bronze medal for Kevin Durant. Better than his team finished last year, but he deserves it. 32 points, the only net to really show up. Silver medal for LeBron James and his 34 points. By the way, I'm not sure, is this going to be on the FS1 ticker? LeBron James this morning, can we show some LeBron highlights? There we go. LeBron James this morning becomes the first player in NBA history in year 19 or later to be leading the league in scoring. Add that to the resume, America. Wow, think about that. Year 19. If the season ended today, he's the scoring champion. That's a fact. And then the gold medal. It's his 5th straight gold medal. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He won 4 consecutive golds to end last season. Did not win an actual gold in the Olympics, that is, but our medals. He gets the gold. He, of course, deserves it. Best player in the league, best player on the court last night by a mile. Those medals are inarguable and perfect. Wilds, who missed the... what? You disagree, Broussard? What? What's the problem with the medals?
Absolutely.
These are perfect medals.
Where's Jordan Poole?
Yeah.
Where's Jordan Poole?
Oh.
Jordan Poole was sensational last night. 20 points.
He's in the pool.
You know he should be up there. I didn't think Durant was great. I got to be honest. I didn't think Durant was... I know his numbers look good. I didn't think it was that good.
Shay.
Who missed the cut, Wilds?
Oh, preseason doesn't count. I'm counting. This is Melo's debut. Here's the highlight. Oh, pump fake. You know what? It's cool when you do it when you're a fan in Barclays. Everyone will cheer you. But if you do this on the line, violation. Oh, sorry, everybody. So good try, Melo. See you in the medal stand soon.
Clear sign.
All right, we got to we got to talk some Ben Simmons. We have to, because the drama continued to unfold yesterday in Philly. Has Ben Simmons played his last game as a Sixer? Tell you why we're asking. This wasn't pretty. Next, first things first. Talking some Ben Simmons, the soap opera that just keeps on giving. So Ben Simmons was thrown out of Sixers practice yesterday by head coach Doc Rivers after he repeatedly declined to take part in a drill. Sixers sent Ben home and then suspended him for the season opener tonight against New Orleans. What an absolute mess there, my own stomping grounds of Philadelphia. Take a listen to both Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid on what happened yesterday.
I just thought he was a distraction today. I didn't think he wanted to do what everybody else was doing. And it was early, it wasn't a big deal. I just told him he should leave then. And we went on with practice.
At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does whatever he wants. That's not my job. That's those guys' jobs. I'm only focused on trying to make the team better, win some games, play hard every night, try to lead, the guys that we have here, and I'm sure they feel the same way because, our chemistry has been excellent, despite, everything that's been happening the last few months. Like I said, I don't really care. But at the end of the day, our job is not to babysit somebody. We get paid to produce on the court, go out, play hard, win some games. That's what we get paid for. We don't get paid to come out here and try to babysit somebody. And so that's not our job. And I'm sure my teammates feel that way.
We got NBA champ Antoine Walker with us this morning to help break this one down. Antoine, good morning. Yesterday you were on the show. We talked about whether or not this situation in Philly was salvageable. I mean, it certainly does not look that way when you have the star of your team sort of, not afraid to come out and actually talk about what's going on. Usually everyone's so tight-lipped. What was your reaction to yesterday's events?
This is what I was afraid of. I knew his teammates would turn on him if he's not giving effort, especially after missing the time that he did and not being in training camp. And it just all came into a head yesterday when you don't want to be a part of team drills and activities and everybody else is putting the effort and energy in, especially to a team who was #1 team in the East last year. They got goals with national races to get into the finals. And then you got a guy who's not bought in and the team has stopped everything and publicly went out and said they want this guy back. And you got your other superstar on the other end saying, hey, we're not going to babysit him, and we're going to make this thing happen. But really, let's really put this in perspective. Ben Simmons and his agent came back because they knew the money that he was going to miss. So he came back obviously because he didn't want to get fined and lose a lot of money. Philly probably really thought they could probably convince him, get around the guys on the team. He may decide that he wants to play. Obviously, he really does not want to be there. Yesterday kind of shows that, and they've probably been seeing this as a pattern over the last couple of days. It's time to move on from him. He's become a distraction. He's coming headline news for them now every day. Everybody's concerned with him. And it's just bad management by Philly. You give Philly, take your hands off a little bit for trying to make this work, but it's not going to work, and it's affecting the other guys on the team, especially when your leader, your best player, is now coming out publicly. So things are now in the open that he's getting that they're babysitting him, and the guys are tired of it, and it's coming from the main guy. So this thing has got ugly. It's unfortunate for both parties and both sides, but they got to get Ben to a situation and get him out of there. He's not going to be good for them, and while he still has some value, and I think Ben has to realize that too, he's killing his value with his attitude right now. Right. He's not making himself marketable right now. He's hurting himself, and I'm surprised. Rich Paul and them have done a terrific job of getting guys great contracts and doing a lot of great things for a lot of players. I'm not sure Chris or Nick and Kevin about the strategy that they're using against Philly right now.
Well, look, Twine, last week when Ben returned, I said we have to be open to the possibility that he went back to act up. A la James Harden in Houston, a la Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. Now, he doesn't have it in him to do what Jimmy Butler did in Minnesota. So Ben is taking the approach of, I'm going to mope. All right, kind of like when you were a kid, right, and your mom punished you, and you were mad at her, and you wanted to show her how upset you were, and you just kind of moped around and didn't talk to her and didn't say anything, thinking you're punishing her. That's what Ben Simmons is doing. He's moping. All right, look, I got no problem with what Doc Rivers did by kicking him out of practice. I've got no problem with what Joel Embiid said. None whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, they're grown men. And after a while, you're like, man, forget you. You don't want to play, go. All right? You know, just get out of here. I have no issue with what Joel said. Now, here's what I think they need to do going forward, Twan. I think you hit it on the head. Ben is killing his trade market. All right? I'm not saying no teams want him, but he is lowering it to an incredible degree. All right? Because I've talked to executives around the league who are like, I don't know that he's over the mental block that he showed in the playoffs last year. We could argue he's had a mental block throughout his career because he won't take outside shots. But in the playoffs, you don't know that that mental block is gone. We have to see it on the court. All right, so some think that exists, and then his unprofessionalism is really rubbing some people the wrong way. Like, what's to say he can't come here and do the same thing if he's not happy? So I think Ben, Nick, needs to go to Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey and say, look, I still want out, but I'm going to put on a happy face and get out there and play my best because I want to help raise my trade value so you can move me. Then hold a press conference before he plays a game and say to the fans in Philadelphia, because if he doesn't do this, Nick, the fans in Philadelphia will torch him and he'll probably crumble. So I say hold a press conference, say to the fans, look, I was upset first and foremost with the way I played, with myself. I didn't play up to my potential in the playoffs, and I was upset with myself. I was upset with us being beaten by Atlanta. We were the number 1 seed. We shouldn't have went out in the second round. And yeah, I was upset with what Doc and what Joel said about me. And I handled it the wrong way. But I understand now I did it the wrong way, and I'm coming back. I looked in the mirror, and now I'm going to play my best and try to help this team win basketball games. When the media ask him, does that mean you don't want to be traded? Just say, look, Wright, I don't know what the future holds, but right now I'm a Philadelphia 76er, and I'm here to win basketball games. Leave it at that.
Broussard.
Go out and play well, and then maybe you up your trade value.
Broussard, that's good advice, but that is also Ben Simmons fan fiction. It's not going to happen.
Agreed.
Like
I agree with that.
I agree that that is good consulting and that is good advice, but it's not happening. Here's the thing. Antoine said, I think, the most important thing, which was, why did Ben come back? Because they were taking his money. Wilds, what did Ben's display at practice cause? They're going to take more of his money. That we suspended for a game, he's not going to get paid for that game now. I think that works enough to where he will act up less because they are not trading him. Again, I can only say this so many times. They are not trading him for Malik Beasley and stuff. It's not happening. Maybe they send him home. Maybe they don't play him. I don't know exactly what the next steps will be. I know they're not trading him for 18 cents on the dollar, Wilds. And I got to say this, and I do like Ben, and obviously I really like and respect Rich. I don't like how this is being handled by Ben. I just don't. I didn't like when Harden did it. I have no problem, Wilds, with guys demanding out. I am all for player empowerment. I am here to watch the players, not the GMs, not the owners, not the coaches. But there is a level of professionalism I expect from professionals. And yesterday at practice, Ben didn't show that. And Doc Rivers is not going to tolerate it. So I don't like where this has gone. It wouldn't be fair if I crushed Harden for it and I give Ben a pass. I'm not a fan of it, but I also don't think it's going to be effective. I think Daryl is going to hold the line.
So, look, I know you said it was fan fiction of Broussard's idea to have a press conference. I think that is the move because it's the best strategy that I've ever heard so far out of to solve Ben's situation. I would add, Broussard, that you have to have someone there with him. I think he has to be counseled by Iverson or have Aaron McKee there. Have someone there next to him that's like, you know what? I talked to the great Allen Iverson. He's here right now. And then Philly fans are like, oh, we're in a tough spot. Because here's my issue, Antoine. There's been no strategy to this at all. At all. It's like, after the players like, I'm going to work on my game. Great, you're going to go to the Olympics? That's a great place to work on your game and sort of be on a big stage. No, not going to do that. Then we heard, I'm okay eating the fines. Okay, and then you're like, okay, good, we're going to put your money in escrow. Like, ooh, didn't realize that. Okay, then we heard, hey, don't fly out. Don't fly out, Sixers, on your own dime and how expensive jet fuel is. Don't fly out. I'm not changing my mind. Then what happens a week later? Knock, knock, knock. Hey, Elton Brand, it's me, Ben Simmons. Then we hear, I'm going to practice. Oh, he's at practice in sweatpants. And then what happens? Well, I'm going to act up in practice. There's zero strategy to this at all. So I honestly think that Broussard's idea to have a press conference, add Iverson there, and say, hey, I'm going to go out and play hard, and Philly will forgive you. I know that sounds ridiculous. If you go out there and play super hard,
that's a good idea.
Read Zach Ertz's thing, what he wrote about leaving the Eagles. Just play hard. That's all fans are asking. Play hard. And everyone will be forgiven. Your stock value go up, and then you can go play in Sacramento, your dream city. That's the best idea.
But Kev, how about this? How about Ben Simmons taking some accountability? You had a rough playoffs. Everybody's had. If you're a great player in this league, every year is going to be different. Obviously, players want to be great every year. You go back in the gym, you figure it out, and you get better. They show videos of him work. They show videos of him working out and doing these things. And Chris, yesterday you said he loves to play basketball. I don't know if you love to play basketball because I would have embraced this challenge. I'm gonna embrace this challenge to come in and prove everybody wrong that I could be a big time player come playoff time. That doesn't mean I got to make 10 jump shots. That's not what he does. You know, he's a guy that's a triple-double threat, a great defender. But now I'm gonna change the narrative a little bit. I'm gonna take a couple jump shots. I just watched a guy win an NBA title with limited ability to shoot the basketball from the free throw line and from the three. But you know what he did?
Great take.
He figured it out. He figured it out right when it was going, right when the series went up, and got MVP of the finals and gave us one of the best NBA finals performances of all time. I can't do it. I love Ben. I think he's a great talent. But I'm Embiid on this. I'm not babysitting no guy. We're trying to win a title. We're trying to get things done. You either come on board or let's move on. He's not that good of a player. He's not established himself to where we have to sit and wait. So I don't know what your guy Daryl Morey is doing or what he thinks he's going to get for being out there. But you traded away Harden, and you left Houston with nothing. Look at Houston right now. So don't say what you won't do for Ben. So you might as well get rid of it. You got some pieces in play and move on from it. This is not good for the Sixers or Embiid, the guy who wants to, obviously play in the finals.
And all the years he's been in the league, Ben Simmons has never given any indication that he wants to actually improve his game. He just hasn't. We just talk about it all the time. All right, let's get back to opening night. It was a rough Lakers debut for Russell Westbrook. So how should Antoine feel about his guy putting you on the spot, Twan? It's next. First things first. Back here, first things first, time now for our player resume brought to you by Indeed. We help people get jobs. And how about Cody Bellinger last night? He doesn't need another job. He's very good at his current job. Game time, 3-run shot in the 8th to keep the Dodgers alive in the NLCS. Braves lead 2-1, but pretty impressive stuff from Cody Bellinger and the Dodgers last night. All right, time now to make our NBA predictions. We are one game in. Seems like the perfect time. Giannis and the Bucks got their jumbo-sized rings, kicked off the title defense in style last night. So no time like right now to tell you what we think is going to happen this season. Chris Broussard, buddy, kick us off. Take us through your NBA season predictions, starting with your MVP.
All right, Jenna, my MVP, it's the same one I predicted last year in the preseason. He didn't go ahead and do it, but it's Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. He would win it at 23 years old. He'll turn 23 in February. He'd be one of the youngest guys to ever win the MVP award. Look, a lot of people, you can say what you want about Jason Kidd, their new head coach, but Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton both know and credit Jay Kidd for a lot of their growth and development. Now, Luka's farther advanced than they were when Kidd had them, but I do think Kidd is going to help Luka become even better than he already is. Now, they got to finish in the top 4 at least in the West for him to have a legitimate shot at winning the MVP. He's the only superstar on his team. That will help him, but I think they have a good season as a team, 50-plus wins, and Luka does damage to the box scores with his stats and wins his first MVP. My finals matchup, Jenna, in the East, Nick, I'm sticking with Brooklyn. All right, I got the Brooklyn Nets in the East. Kevin Durant, I didn't think he played great last night. He's going to have a great season. James Harden will have a phenomenal season. He'll adjust to the rest. You think he's going to become like an average player because he's not getting foul calls. He'll adjust and be great. And once they get their chemistry, their continuity, they're going to be the top team in the East. Milwaukee's legit. That's going to be tough, but they will beat Milwaukee. And the Lakers, look, if you gave me the Lakers or the field in the West to get to the finals, I'm going to be honest, I would go with the field. Because I got question marks about the Lakers, but nobody else out there in the West looks like a world beater to me. So based on sheer talent and faith in LeBron James, I am going to pick the Lakers out of the West. And I'll admit this, if the Lakers get to the finals, it does mean things are clicking, all right? So they're going to be tough for the Brooklyn Nets if they get to the finals. But that said, we saw last night the Lakers have trouble guarding movement, guarding shooters, guarding finesse. And the Nets shoot it as well as anybody in the league.
Don't do it to yourself.
Nets are the champion. James Harden steps up. There's one question James Harden needs to answer, Nick. Can he do it in the big postseason moments? And I believe he will answer those questions in the positive this year and be lights out in the playoffs, even in the clutch moments. And obviously KD will. Brooklyn, they win their first championship since of course Dr. J.
Broussard, you haven't gotten an NBA champion pick right since the Obama administration, my friend, and now you're doing it to yourself again. I can't. Okay. Well, I mean, we could go through it. Maybe the first year.
It might be.
I'm not sure. I get the years messed up. It's been a while. We had the Clippers. We had the Nets. We got a lot of stuff going on. Certainly didn't have the Raptors. All right. Let me give you the real list. You might say, Nick, you're going to have the same MVP as Broussard, your large adult Slovenian son, who you also picked last year. I do not. I love Luka, not only like his son, as my son. But you know what? I think he needs a little extra motivation. Son, you're not going to win MVP. Giannis is. There's not going to be any of that, we're going to grade Giannis on a curve, because he proved it in the postseason. Last year, he had MVP numbers. It just no one wanted to give it to him again. Last night, the sequence, right before that block, he stepped up and hit this three, then he did that block. The Bucks are going to cruise to the 1 seed. Giannis is the MVP. Finals pick, Broussard got it half right. Lakers, Bucks. Broussard just dismissing the Bucks is beyond me. I hated how the Lakers looked last night. However, once the playoffs begin, if LeBron's healthy, he's not missing the finals. We know that. I think he'll be healthy. I think LeBron will have a good year. I think they will start to figure things out, even though I think they're going to have to do it probably from like the 4 or the 3 seed. And Milwaukee, it speaks for themselves. They are head and shoulders better than everyone else out east. The Nets are supposed to be the second best team. The Bucks lost Drew Holiday minutes into last night's game, or in the first half, and they still mollywopped them. And now don't reveal it yet, because I really battled with this. I really struggled with it. Because all-time great players, which Giannis is, usually have their all-time greatest season right after winning the championship. Happened with LeBron. KD had one of his best seasons. We have seen it time. And Jordan, you could argue his best season ever was the year they were defending their first title. So I wanted to pick the Bucks. But then something told me, you know how LeBron's going to go year 19 and year 20? Rings 5 and 6. Lakers win the title, America. Not sure exactly who's on the roster. Not sure exactly the what do you mean, what a surprise? Not sure exactly the steps they have to take. But here's what I do know, Wilds. By the end of the year, LeBron's going to be holding trophy number 5, finals MVP number 5, and the folks on Jordan, it used to be an island. Now it's like Jordan Islip, whatever you call that thing, a little like miniature island. They're going to be, the waters are going to be coming up on them. Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. So that's how it's going to end.
The waters are not.
Or go ahead, Wilds.
No, not at all. It's like one of those islands in Dubai that they just keep pushing sand on and getting bigger and bigger and bigger as people join Jordan on. Okay, I'm with your finals pick, Nick. I have the reverse. I have the Bucks winning. But I'm going to go off the board here and take it. It's like finding money on the ground. I'll go LeBron MVP for the following 3 reasons. Reason number 1, I think he'll probably come out of the West as a number 1 seed. But even if he's not, I still think the writers want to give it to him. Last year, Jazz were number 1. Donovan didn't. No one talked about Donovan. Poor Chris Paul had to mount a rogue campaign to get Chris Paul some votes, and the writers were like, no thanks. So I think that LeBron will sort of like own the West and the MVP. I know you can say, Joker's not getting it back to back. Reason number 2, the Jordan factor. Why is the Jordan factor? Because look, LeBron is due for another ring. He's got 4. Jordan's got 5 MVPs. They don't give out rings for MVPs. They give out trophies, but you know what I mean. So here's the thing. When you talk about the Jordan factor, there's a narrative when people look back. In the year 75, people are going to start looking back and say, how many MVPs should have Jordan won? He should have won more, right? He should have won 7. He should have won 8. That's starting to happen with LeBron. And I think that the media is going to be like, you know what? This is the one he needs. And finally, this is a cross-sport comparison. It's a little weird, but it's 100% true if you think about it. The Brady factor. What? Yes, he's going to get extra credit for being old and building the roster. I think when it comes to MVP for NFL, be like, well, Brady literally is building that entire roster. Same for LeBron. So, Nick, those are my reasons I think LeBron takes it home. Could you see him winning MVP number 5? And would you be rooting for him, or do you not like LeBron as much as I do?
No, listen, you're obviously just in the pocket of Clutch, so I don't know how much I can take your commentary on this seriously. Listen, LeBron obviously should have 7 MVPs if the voters have gotten things right, and unfortunately only has 4. Speaking of that, hold on a second. This is how we have to end the show. Broussard, it's a new season. Did you get me my vote or not?
I've been trying, Nick. So far, no good yet. But I've been trying.
Okay.
I've been trying.
Check in next week.
I've been trying.
Check in next week.
No, you've got a long season.
Your pick, like that Lakers pick didn't really help. I mean, especially with the explanation. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be there. Just the Lakers. Just Lakers. Yeah. He spent the whole show killing them.
All right, well, we're all going to follow
They're
Nick.
not that good. They can't defend it.
We're all going to follow Nick. We got to go. Skip and Shannon are going to do a deep dive on this game right here, on that guy right there, LeBron, right after this. We'll see you tomorrow. Undisputed starts right now.